Escape to the action at Seminole Casino Hotel Immokalee. It is Vegas style 24/7 because just like Vegas, Seminole Casino Hotel never closes. It is pure entertainment anytime you want, and it is truly where paradise wins.
Believe it or not, 10 years ago, thousands were displaced. There were $108 billion in property damage, and an area the size of the UK was declared a disaster. Yes, Hurricane Katrina was 10 years ago. Joining us this morning to tell us about the lessons we have learned and what the future looks like in forecasting and emergency response plans is world-renowned storm chaser and Angry Planet star George Krounis. Good morning, George.
Good morning.
All right, so we here in Florida, we know hurricanes, unfortunately. You know, Hurricane Katrina now that 10 years have passed. What do you think some of the big lessons that we learned and maybe that are worth noting this week, certainly, with you being part of this project? But what are you looking for people to understand as we look back and look forward, you know, too, look ahead?
Yeah, wow, there's a lot going on. It's been actually 10 years, a full decade, since Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans and the Mississippi, Alabama Gulf Coast there. And a lot has happened since, and at the same time, not a lot has happened since. We haven't had a major hurricane landfall since 2005. That's Category 3 or higher. When Hurricane Sandy hit New Jersey and New York, it was only barely a Category 1. So a lot of lessons were learned during Hurricane Katrina, and the city of New Orleans has fortified with special brand new state-of-the-art flood protection systems, but those haven't been put to the test yet. So there's a lot of lessons that we have learned, but they haven't been really put into full application yet.
Yeah, I know. But I think we do need to knock on wood, though. You know, we can't really escape it. Aren't we due, unfortunately, for another one? That's just kind of where we live and very common in this part of the world, and it is bound to happen, is it not? We're watching them now.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. This whole Gulf Coast and the eastern seaboard of the U.S. is a very hurricane-prone area. It just so happens that the past few years have not had a lot of hurricanes. There's one brewing out in the Caribbean right now that I'm keeping a really close eye on right now. We'll see where it ends up. But it's very easy to become complacent, to forget about these hurricanes, especially if you're new to the area, if you have people that have only been living along the coastline for maybe 5 years, 8 years, they've never experienced a really big hurricane. So there's a lot of things that we really must not forget.
So true. Well, what do you want, you know, as people are watching this morning, and we here in Florida, we know this message, you know, we get it all the time, but you can't hear it enough. What do you want people to understand as this program is going to be on all week? What's the take home? What do we need to be doing?
Well, what we're doing with this Project Katrina, A Decade of Resilience in New Orleans, is showing basically what happened in New Orleans 10 years ago, how the city and the people and the culture have been rebounding, what the improvements have been made to the city, and looking forward to the future to see exactly what we can expect, especially with warming oceans. So those warming oceans are going to provide more fuel for future hurricanes. So I think I'm going to be pretty busy over the next 10 years, probably with a lot more storms. And anyone who lives in a hurricane-prone area or anyone who's interested in weather can actually learn a lot about what has happened in the past 10 years since Hurricane Katrina. When I was in the middle of the storm, I was actually in Mississippi on the strong side of the storm. Believe it or not, it was actually the weak side that hit New Orleans. It could have been much worse than it actually was.
Oh, that's just crazy to think about. Well, so what does the future look like, do you think? You mentioned this new technology, you know, this new way that we're able to protect these neighborhoods and these communities. Do you think we're going to just continue to get better as a country in protecting from, as we said, the inevitable? These storms are going to come.
Well, certainly the weather forecasting has gotten a lot better over the past 10 years. We certainly have the capability of getting the warnings out to everyone and getting people out of the way of these hurricanes. The best thing that people can do is heed the warnings, evacuate if you have to. There's nothing we can do to prevent the storms. They're naturally occurring events. We may be exacerbating the effect of these storms by increasing the temperatures in the water, of course, but they are still naturally occurring phenomena. And if a hurricane completely misses the coastline, it's not a disaster. It only becomes a disaster when these storms start affecting human populations. We just have to keep that in mind. We're part of this earth. We're riding along And it's a dynamic place. It's not static at all. And we always just have to sort of keep that in mind.
Oh, George, so true. Thank you so much. And when can we tune in and see what you're working on all week?
All this week, Project Katrina, a decade of resilience in New Orleans on Pivot Television, and also at takepart.com. You can learn a lot more there.
All right, George, thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right, for more on what he's working on, just head to our website, foxformorningblend.com.
And from hurricanes to season changes, up next, what you need to know to weatherproof your home to keep you and your family safe from the storm.